Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Richard Fleming. Today is Monday, the 28th of December, 2020, the final week of this year and this decade. I hope you and your family members have had a good Christmas and are looking forward to the New Year's celebration on Friday, the 1st of January, 2021. This has been a long year and, in some ways, a long decade. I'm taking this moment to come to you to let you know that tomorrow, Dr. Carly Dean Graves and I will be talking about vaccines at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I'm not certain what her website information is. I think she has more than one, and you can probably find it by going and trying to Google it or going to Twitter and checking with those individuals who've had presentations with her. We'll be talking about vaccines and SARS-CoV-2. And next week, on Friday the 8th, I will once again have an interview with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. That will be at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, where we will talk about SARS-CoV-2 vaccines, treatments, and some of the injustices that occur in the United States and the attempts to cover up for Big Pharma. As interesting as that might be, I want to turn my attention right now to a series of slides that I've been developing for a series of presentations that I will participate in 2021. We will be going around the United States. We have currently 6 venues selected and with more expected. And expectations are that we will then have a European and perhaps Asian tour after that, talking about SARS-CoV-2. In preparation for that series, I put together my PowerPoint slides, and I wanted to share one with you to provide some additional insight and information regarding the ways in which we conducted our clinical trial and the information we were able to measure in that trial to determine what the successful treatments are. So let me share the screen. There we go. The title of the slide is Determining Successful Treatment Responses. And we did that by measuring tissue levels using FMTVDM. Those are the 2 images that you actually see here. And this shows FMTVDM measurements over the course of changes in tissue, all the way from normal areas to inflammation and infection to the development of further changes in tissue that result in cancer. Successful treatment was defined as taking the initial presenting FMTVDM value and noting a greater than 25 count drop in those values with treatment over a 3-day period of time, or a value less than 150, which would place somebody into the low inflammatory or normal range. We also looked at ferritin levels, which is a marker of inflammation. And those levels vary depending upon whether you're a man, which requires a value of less than 270 nanograms per ml, or a woman who typically will have a normal value of less than 160 nanograms per ml. We also looked at interleukin-6 levels, which are, this is a inflammatory marker from cells, which is less than 5 picograms or picograms, depending upon where you're at in the United States, per ml. And that's for both men and women. So this is a nice example of one of the patients, a woman who entered phase 1 of the trial after failing treatment with hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. And when she came in, this was her FMTVDM image. This is the heart, the liver, and these are the lung fields and mediastinum with the thymus gland. The right lung field actually had the greatest activity as measured by FMTVDM, and that value was 195 maximum count activity. So you can see it's up in this area on this scale. The ferritin level was also elevated at 302 nanograms per ml and interleukin-6 at 45 picograms per ml. We'll change that before we get to the real talk. 3 days following treatment with the addition of methylprednisolone, which was treatment regimen 8. And the image demonstrated an improvement with the FMTVDM count coming down exactly 25, which was enough to call it successful and continue on this treatment. It came down to 170. Ferritin came down to 195, which is still elevated for women, but improving, normalizing. And the interleukin-6 was also elevated but normalizing because it was 12 picograms per, again, that's ml. So this is an example of somebody who had taken hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin as an outpatient, as determined by the patient and her physician. 3 days later, she was reevaluated and determined to require hospitalization. She had an FMTVDM study, ferritin, interleukin-6, a variety of other tests, which are not relevant to the information you need to see at this point in time. It doesn't help with the definition of the disease presence or absence. Went on methylprednisolone for 3 days and demonstrated substantial improvement. She was continued on this through the completion of the regimen as outlined in the protocol. So that is a nice example of how we were able to take somebody, bring her in, and actually define the treatment effect for her and determine what her clinical course was going to be, and defined a treatment that eventually resulted in her being discharged from the hospital and going home to be with her family and friends. Again, I want to thank everybody who's paying attention to this channel and listening for updates on what we're doing with SARS-CoV-2, as well as work that will be coming down the pike on heart disease and cancer over 2021. Again, 2021 for us promises to be a very busy year as we go throughout the United States and then eventually the rest of the world to talk about what we've learned from this treatment and the virus itself, and to relate it all back to the original theory that I put together in 1994, which accounts for why people die with SARS-CoV-2 and other viral and bacterial illnesses, as well as guides treatment for individual benefits for the patients. Again, we're nearing the end of 2020. It's been good to have an opportunity to speak with so many of you and to air these broadcasts. We'll continue to do so, and I look forward to sharing the next one with you.